Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we'll give all praise and honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. Double honors to the elders, shalom to the Akim out there, pushing the truth in the four corners, and truth and sincerity. Shalom to the Akwaf out there, that's listening, learning, and true doors of serving. With that, shalom. So, Most High put it in my spirit to, really, and it ain't nothing but Satan, because this music wasn't playing the whole time until I went to record. So that's Satan trying to block the word from coming out. So hold up, Salaki. Salaki. So lately, Most High had really had it in my spirit to really go back and watch the movie, The Book of Eli. Right? And that movie is very spiritual and prophetic in some ways. Well, a lot of ways. It's very prophetic. But with the things that's going on, the tariffs, the threat of famine, coming, and the wars, happening, race wars, the class wars, all these different wars happening, World War III incoming. Let's not forget World War III, where, Russia, Iran, China, all these different nations are going to bomb the United States with thermonuclear missiles, right? That's not to be forgotten. But there's going to be a time where the enemy comes in like a flood. Now let's get that scripture. Now this is Isaiah 59 and 19. It says, "So shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him." All right, so that standard is men being blessed with spiritual power, right? And you seen a glimpse of it on the movie, The Book of Eli. If you watch The Book of Eli, you heard about it. It's a movie with Denzel Washington. It's like a post-apocalyptic movie. But there was a man named Eli, and he was walking. I'm assuming that he was walking from the East Coast to the West Coast to the prison of Alcatraz, because it took him 30 years to do so. From what he said in the movie, it took him 30. He'd been walking for 30 years, and he walked with a Bible, right? He said that they destroyed the Bibles during the wars, right? And he said that he found a book, a voice led him to the book, to a place where he found a book, and the voice told him that he would be protected. And in the movie, you would see he was in these different predicaments where the Spirit of the Lord lifted up that standard, right? And I'm gonna show a few of the scenes in this video, right? But let me get this scripture real quick. This 2nd Ezra 16 and 67, right? Because similar things gonna happen to the men of the Lord, right? It says, "Behold, God." No. 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being things offered unto idols." So they're going to take away certain men, right? This is another part of the hour of temptation. Like, they're going to take away certain men, right? In the book of Revelation says you shall have tribulation 10 days, but during that time they're going to feed you things, try to feed you abominations, such as pork, crab, shrimp, lobster, right? These things that will be offered unto their idols, they're going to try to feed them to so you can dishonor your God, right? And they can mock you and kill you, right? It's a lot. Read that again. 2 Ezra 16:68 says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot." So the ones that actually eat these things offered unto idols, they're going to be mocked, they're going to be called names, and they're going to be killed, right? Because that's a test, right? That's the hour of temptation, where the Most High is going to allow these people to take hold of certain men as a trial, as a testing stage, right? And who knows? You could have not eaten in 2 weeks, right? But you still have to resist the temptation, right? And pray. Which you first and foremost, what you should do is pray. That's the first thing you should do while you're being taken, while you're in the chamber, wherever you are, while you're in the concentration camp, wherever you are, is being constant in prayer, talking to the Most High, right? Asking for the things that you need. If you need strength, if you need courage, if you need endurance, whatever you need, you should be praying for it, right? But this is part of the hour of temptation, right? You keep going. Verse 70, it says, this is the part I want. It says, "For there shall be in every city," it's like in every place, "and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord." Now let's get the definition of the word insurrection, right? Let's get the definition of insurrection. It says, "an uprising against civil authority," right? An insurrection, an uprising against civil authority. So it's going to be a great, it's like insurrection, right, upon those that fear the Most High. So it's going to be people that's going to want to kill the men of the Lord. Right? In the book of John 16 says, "Those that kill you would think that they do." Let me just get it, so I don't want to butcher it. It's the book of John, chapter 16. In verse 1, I'm starting 1. It says, "These things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service." So it's going to be people that's hunting down the men of the Lord, trying to kill them, right? And that's a part of the hour of temptation, because in the book of Luke, 21st chapter, it says, "Shall not a hair of your head perish," right? So it's a trial period. Even if you are put to death, right? We understand that death is life, and we understand that if you die for the Lord and His Son, right, you automatically gonna get a crown when you come back, right? Because your spirit never dies. Right, your body goes to the ground, your fleshly body, earthly body goes back to the ground, and your spirit goes to the Most High, who created it, and you come back every 3 or 4 generations to live out your judgment from your past life. So we understand that how death works. So if you die for the Lord, you automatically coming down in rulership, right? I'm going to read that again. This is 2 Ezra 16 and verse 70. It says, "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord." And you've seen a little bit of that in the movie, The Book of Eli, right? Once they figured out that he had a Bible, right? They really tried to hunt this man down, or they really did hunt this man down, right, to get the book from him, right? But this is a verse I really want. This verse 71. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And that's the movie Mad Max. They should be like madmen, sparing none, right? Because what? The devil has come down with great wrath because he know that he had but a short time, right? But like it says in the book of Isaiah 59:19, the Most High is going to lift up the standard in that time. And he's going to use men, Israelite men, to perform his judgment. Let me get this book of Jeremiah 51:20. It says, Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. Right? So the men of the Lord is going to be blessed with certain abilities in that time. Spiritual powers. Some are going to get spiritual powers, where they can fly, where they can, manipulate the elements. Because what did the Yahweh do when his disciples were on the boat, right? He walked on water, right? So he can manipulate. He has power over the elements, right? This is Psalms 144, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, Blessed be the Lord Yahweh, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. So in that day, the Most High is going to put all type of ancient fighting techniques inside of his men that haven't been seen on the earth. Because back then, it was more hand to hand. It was more, swords and like close range type fighting. And on the movie The Book of Eli, you seen like it was a lack of bullets. It was a lack of bullets. So once the bullets run out, things like that, it's gonna go back to hand. So in that time, it's gonna be men that the Most High, and you're not gonna have cameras either to record brothers, to try to copy their styles and try to steal their styles and stuff like that. It's not gonna be no copying, right? So when the brothers, Most High, he got the brothers doing their thing and destroying wicked, you're gonna see them fighting, them ancient fighting styles coming back, right? So let's get the book of Amos, chapter 9 and 11. Look at this BS, bro. It ain't nothing but Satan. It's BS. Look at Amos chapter 9 and verse 11. It says, And in that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David, which is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Right? It says it's going to raise up the tabernacle of David, which was fallen. Salaka. Satan, all of a sudden I ain't got no memory on my phone, so yeah. Get back to it. This is Amos 9 and 11. It says, In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Right? Because under David, the Israelites had a righteous kingdom, right? It was under Solomon where it split. When he started making, idols. I believe it's idol to the other nations' gods. Right? He allowed the women to, in this older age, to have them make idols of the other nations' gods. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Select. So let's talk a little bit about David. All right, we're going to go to 2 Samuel 22. And I'm going to start at 33. It says, God is my strength and power, and he maketh my way perfect. This is David speaking, right? And the scripture said in the book of Acts 13, David was a man after the Most High's heart, right? This is 2 Samuel 22 and 33. God is my strength and power, and he maketh my way perfect. He maketh my hinds feet. It's like he maketh my feet like hinds feet, and setteth me upon my high places. He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by my arms. And if you don't know who David is the one that slew Goliath, right? And Goliath was a mighty man of war, right? And David was just a shepherd. He was considered a lowly shepherd, right? Well, let's go to 1 Samuel 17 and verse 34, right? And these are, and the Lord said he's raising up the tabernacles of David. Salak, let me get Salak. I missed. That threw me off. The devil, the bullshit with the phone threw me off. This is Zechariah 12 and 8. It says, and in that day, the Lord Yahweh, and that day shall the Lord Yahweh defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord Yahweh before them. So it says, he that is feeble among them shall be as David, right? And then we're going into David right now, who was a mighty man of war, right? Like the daughters of Zion that sung the song, Saul killeth thousands, David killeth 10,000s, right? King David's hands were so bloody that the Most High didn't even allow him to build his temple, because his hands were so bloody. That's how much of a mighty man, warrior that David was. And in the book of Zechariah, it's saying that the feeble among our people, let's go to that word feeble. Let's look up that word feeble, right? Feeble, lacking strength or vigor, physical, moral, or intellectual, weak, feeble, right? So those that are weak among us shall be as David, and the house of David as God's, right? So that is the power that the Most High is going to bless our men with in those times, right? And you see, like I said again, you see in the scene in the book of Eli, the opening scene, when, the Edomites popped up behind the thing. One had the little, the little chainsaw, the other one, had all types of different weapons. And he slayed all of them. Easy work. Then you go to the scene when they was in the bar, right? And he slayed a whole bar full of enemies, right? So the Most High is going to bless his men with those powers, right? So like, I'm back to it, right? They that are feeble among you shall be as David, right? And the book of Eli was just a glimpse of that. All right, let me get the book of Leviticus chapter 26. Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 8, it says, It says, and 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight, and your enemy shall fall before you by the sword. How else can a man do that? Right? Besides having spiritual power. Right? 100 of you, what's it, 5 of you shall chase 100. Right? That has to be spiritual power. And that's in the law. Let's get the book of Judges. The book of Judges was Samson, right? Another man in the scriptures that had spiritual power. Right? And these are documents, right, of how the Most High gave our forefathers spiritual powers. So we know that it's true. We know that it's coming again. All right, this is the book of Judges, chapter 14. I'm going to start at 5. It says, then went Samson down, and his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath, and behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord Yahweh came mightily upon him. So this talking about Samson. The Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon Samson. Right? And he rent him as he would have rent a kid. Talking about the lion. He tore the lion in half. Right? And he had nothing in his hands. But he told not his father or his mother what he had done. Now let's see if I can get that in another translation. All right, see if we can get that in another translation. All right, Judges 14. I'm gonna try the NLT. All right, Judges 14. Oh, here we go. This is Judges 14 and 5 in the NLT. It says, as Samson and his parents were going down to Timnath, a young lion suddenly attacked Samson near the vineyards of Timnath. At that moment, the Spirit of the Lord Yahweh came powerfully upon him, and he ripped the lion's jaws apart with his bare hands. He did it as easily as if it were a young goat. But he didn't tell his father or his mother about it. Right? So that's an instance where spiritual power was given by the Most High. Right? Now let's go back to 1 Samuel 17. So I was really interrupted. This 1 Samuel 17 and 34. And this is back to David, King David, right? It says, and David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. So like I said, David was a shepherd, right? A shepherd, he basically, tends to the sheep. He leads the sheep where they need to go. Take care of the sheep, protect the sheep from any predators, things like that. So David was with the sheep, and a lion and a bear came, right? And a sheep is like an animal that's not, a predator. They're basically like food, right? And a bear and a lion are predators, right? Read that again. It's 1 Samuel 17, 34. It says, and David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Right? He's talking about the lion. So when he went to get the sheep back, right, the lion came and attacked him. And he said he caught him by his beard, which is his mane. This is a male lion, right? Because only the males had the manes, right? That look like a beard, right? And the male lions are the dominant ones, and the lion, the pride, right? It says, and I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living power. Right? So David slew a lion and a bear, right? By itself, right? You know, they got the little challenge going on, 100 men versus one gorilla, right? David was killing one gorilla by itself, right? Because a bear, I believe a bear could probably beat a gorilla, right? And he's killed a bear by itself. And that's a part of the power that the Most High is going to give his men. And that's just on the physical side, not to mention those who Most High is going to allow to manipulate the elements. Like Yahushua, Yahushua walked on water. It's like, let's get First Maccabees 3 and 18. It says, I'm going to start at 16. This is during the time of the Maccabees when the Greeks were, taking over. And this is when Judas Maccabeus and his brethren started fighting back. Right? This First Maccabees 3 and 16. And when he came near to the going up of Beth Horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company, who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, said unto Judas, how shall we be able to, being so few, to fight against a great multitude, and so strong, saying we are ready to faint with fasting all day? So Judas went forth to meet these Greeks with a small multitude of men, and his men got shook, right? Verse 18, it says, unto whom Judas answered, so this is what Judas said, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few, and with the God of heaven it is all one to deliver with a great multitude or a small company. For the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of hosts, but strength cometh from heaven. So he's saying, just because we have a small, it don't matter the numbers, right? The strength of battle comes from the Most High in heaven, right? That's who wins wars. The Most High God of heaven, right? That's who has the power, right? Now let's go to then go to Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon 3. I'm going to start at 5. It says, this is talking about the elect. It says, and having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded, for God proved them and found them worthy of himself. So those who endure the hour of temptation, right? Who do not take the chip, right? Who give their life for the truth, who strive for the truth unto death, right? God proved them and found them worthy of himself. As gold in the furnace have he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. Right? That goes back to Zechariah 13. Right? Verse 7, it says, and in the time of their visitation they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. That's that spiritual power with flash-like abilities. Right? And read that again. It says, and in the time of their visitation they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. Right? They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign forever. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he hath cared for his elect. But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imagination, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Lord. All right? Some spiritual powers, man. That's in that day when the Most High lift up the standard against these other nations, right? Even the wicked of our people is going to see, right? Because the book of Psalms 110 said, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. A lot of people is going to believe through the miracles that he do through his men. A lot of people is going to believe that the Most High God of Israel still exists through what he does through his men. And when he sends his son back on that so-called UFO, the big chariot, like you seen on Independence Day, that covers where every eye is going to see him, right? While all these nations fighting and all this war and chaos going on in the world, because it's not just going to be war in America. It's not just going to be war here. It's going to be war. All these different countries are going to be warring against each other, right? They talk about that in the book of 2 Ezra 13. It's like, and when all this chaos and all this fighting is going on, that's when the Messiah is going to come with a so-called UFO, right? A big chariot, and all the nations are going to come together and try to fight against Yahushua and the angels, and they're going to lose terribly, right? So all these things going to happen, and it's going to make people believe, like in the movie The Book of Eli, those people saying how Eli killed those men so easily made them believe and want to follow wherever he followed. Right? You see the girl, Sarah Milas, whatever her name is, when she seen what Denzel Washington did in that bar and killed all those men, she knew something was different about him. Right? And after that, when he went to leave, and the devil tried to get the Bible from him, and they shot him. They literally shot him, and the bullet didn't even harm him. That's why that goes back to Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against thee shall prosper. Right? A lot of people is going to believe in that time because of what the Lord is doing and the things he's going to do through his men on the earth. Right? Let me get that in Psalms 1:10-3. It says, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, and the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning thou hast the dew of thy youth. Right? So the Lord is going to, it's a lot. Yeah, the Lord is going to use men on the earth to raise a standard against the evil. Right? At the time appointed. right? Because everything will be accomplished in due season, right? Do I have anything else? Yeah, I have another scripture. Slow. Oh yeah, I wanted to get this scripture too. This is Yahushua. This is Matthew 8. I'm going to start at 23. It says, and when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him, and behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, and so much that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he said unto them, why are ye fearful, O ye little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men marveled, saying, what manner of man is this, that even the winds of the sea obey him? Right, so he has control not only the water, but over the winds. And that goes into X-Men. Right, it's a character in there called Storm. Right, of course they had to have her as a woman, as Eve. Right, but she had power over the wind. Right, that's another thing. That's another book or another movie that was made off of the scriptures. Right, using the scripture, made using the scripture. X-Men. Right, and this is the last scripture I got. This is book of Isaiah, chapter 13, and verse 12. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Right? So the men of the Lord are going to stand out in those days because of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, blessing brothers with those godlike abilities. It's like just like Eli. So with that, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Double honors to the elders. Shalom to the Akim. With that, shalom.